Hello and welcome to my review of the Tyranids Parasite of Mortrex model from Games Workshop. Now this model will cost you £24 and consists of 12 plastic components and supplied on a 40mm round base. Now when I first saw that it was supplied on a 40mm round base, I thought it was, you know, kind of Terminator sized, and I'm sort of right. Yeah, it's smaller than you expect. Like the pictures and things, I kind of knew it was going to be small anyway, but the pictures and things make it out to be, well, I don't know, maybe it's the lighting and things, but make it out to be like the size of like a winged hive tyrant or something like that. But it is not. It's a smaller than you think creature, which got me thinking about, you know, Morgan Ra's price of £27.50. I have Morgan Ra right here. The Eldar reviews are coming, guys. Thank you so much for your patience. I'm going to have that Avatar of Cain review coming soon, but there's Morgan Ra. Yeah, Morgan Ra has way more detail, more parts, I think, more parts. Yeah, it's just, there's a lot more going on and a bigger scenic base and things like that. So you can see where they're coming from in a way. Because yeah, I was surprised that, you know, the Parasite was, I say, so cheap at £24. Still would have preferred it at about a £20 price point, but in the box if they are able to do that. As always, we'll have a closer look at the model itself. We'll go through some size comparisons, of which I've fished out a few of my Tyranid models, you know, brush the dust off them and things. So we're going to do a comparison with those and with the usual Space Marine models as well. So this is the Parasite itself. Interesting creature. The thing is though, is because it's sort of so small, it does get lost in amongst some of your other Tyranid beasties as well. You know, but it does stand out if you're going for like a winged army, like a winged hive tyrant, some a harpy or so, and some gargoyles, and even a harridan. You know, I know harridans have gone up in price a little bit, but they're still awesome looking minis. I say mini, yeah, take the mini out of the miniature. But yeah, it's a interesting creature. You're going to have some issues connecting the wings. There might be some gaps because there's such a large contact point. You either get a gap at the top or a gap at the bottom, gap at the top. You've got a tiny scenic base, which is just this. The rules are it's to do with the Ripper swarms and things. It looks very Ripper swarm-y. Yeah, I don't own any Ripper swarms. That's a fun fact for you. Mainly because I don't have any termagants or hormagaunts for that matter. I just don't have them in my army for some reason. So I can't give you any comparisons with Ripper swarms, and I don't even have any Forge World Ripper swarms either. But there is the Parasite of Mortrex. Interesting creature, but a bit smaller than you'd expect. Let me do some size comparisons with some of the Tyranid Gribblies that I've found. So as I've said, if you have some gargoyles and things, this is where it will stand. Gargoyles have this pose that's with the wings really outstretched, and actually, you know, similar kind of width maybe, but there's just a lot more bulk and a longer tail on the Parasite. But having these flying around it, even like 20 of these, it's gonna, yeah, it's gonna stand out at least because it's on this base too. So that's a gargoyle next to the Parasite. We go a bit bigger, and I think this is a Tyrant Guard or a Hive Guard. I think it's a Tyrant Guard. You know, the ones with the really cool weapons that fire through walls. So that's where it stands next to one of those. We've got a Swarmlord, which is absolutely one of my favourite Tyranid minis, with just the amount of swords that it's got. It's even got a sword on the top of its head. Just fantastic mini. I say mini. You've got a Tyrannofx as well, right there. I mean, I guess a Tyrannofx is a bit bigger than a Swarmlord, maybe. And then we've got a big daddy. We've got a Tyrannofx. Wow, this thing is quite large. So large it knocks the Parasite off. I don't have the Dimachieron anywhere near. From what I can think, I think I've packed that away somewhere. I did have it close by. I think probably one of the best comparisons is either with the Gargoyle or with the Swarmlord to give you an idea of its size. But there you go. Let's do some size comparisons with some Imperial models then. So I've got the usual three suspects. We've got a normal Space Marine, and it's way bigger than a normal Space Marine. It's still a fair bit bigger than a Primaris, and of course Sly Marbo. You could probably pick up Sly and take him away, or is it the other way around? Probably the other way around. So yeah, that's how it stands next to, you know, your Primaris. It's still a fair bit bigger. And for the last part of this review, I will be going through all of the rules for the Parasite of Mortrex. You'll find its rules in the brand new Tyranid Codex 9th edition. This was the only kind of new unit in the whole book, and a lot of other units got some tweaks and upgrades, I guess. So it is a fast attack choice. It's a power points cost of a 4 and a points cost of 80. Its movement speed is 16 inches. Its weapon skill is 2+, which is fantastic. Ballistic skill 3+, strength 5, toughness 5, 6 wounds, 6 attacks, leadership 8, and a save of 4+. Now, that stat line is pretty strong, you know, compared to the size of it. You know, 6 wounds, toughness 5, pretty good. It's equipped with clawed wings and barbed ovipositor. Guess that's the thing that injects all the Ripper Swarms into people. The clawed limbs, it's the strength of the user, which is 5, AP -2, damage 1. That's all right. You know, it's got 6 attacks with that thing. But the barbed ovipositor with a strength +1, which is strength 6, AP -1, damage 1. So that's all right, but it has an ability called Parasitic Infection. Each time the bearer fights, it makes 1 additional attack with this weapon, and no more than 1 attack can be made with this weapon while resolving that fight. So it just gets that 1 attack with that, and then you 6 attacks with your clawed limbs. Abilities, Synapse, Shadow in the Warp, which is an aura ability, and then let's talk about this Parasitic Infection. Each time an attack made with this weapon successfully wounds an enemy unit, excluding vehicle units, that unit suffers 1 mortal wound in addition to any normal damage and becomes infected with parasites. At the start of your opponent's command phase, for each enemy unit that is infected with parasites, your opponent must roll 1d6. On a 1 to 3, that unit being rolled for suffers d3 mortal wounds and is no longer infected with parasites. On a 4 to 6, that unit being rolled for suffers d3 mortal wounds and remains infected with parasites. Wow, so you've got a stacking mortal wound ability here. So you've really got to, you know, be very careful of this unit, you know, which is difficult in its own right because of the 6 wounds and the 4+ save and the movement of 16 inches. That's the killer. It's a fast attack, and you're probably going to be, and the opponent's probably going to be shrouding it with other things. If that unit suffers 2 or more mortal wounds as a result of this ability phase, set up a new friendly High Fleet Ripper Swarms unit on the battlefield within 3 inches of that unit and not within engagement range of any enemy units. That Ripper Swarms unit contains 1 model, and if you are playing a game that uses a points limit, does not cost any reinforcement points. Fantastic. So you're getting the 2 mortal wounds. If they're suffering them, then you're birthing Ripper Swarms out of them. Another ability, it's called It Itches. While a unit is infected with parasites, it loses the objective secured ability. So again, this thing can whip around the battlefield, infect a unit, move on to another objective, infect another one, and just really whittle them down. Shadow Hunter. Each time an attack is made against this model, subtract 1 from that attack's hit roll, and that hit roll cannot be re-rolled. So that's brilliant, adds a bit more survivability. And then Death from Above. During deployment, you can set up this model in the high skies instead of setting it up on the battlefield. If you do so, then during the reinforcement step of one of your movement phases, you can set up this model anywhere on the battlefield that is more than 9 inches away from any enemy models, and until the end of the turn, you can re-roll charge rolls made for this model. Again, brilliant. It can just like swoop in during deployment. So that's great. It can just you know, swoop in one of the reinforcement steps. Keywords: Hive Tendril, Tyranids, Infantry, Character, Fly, Synapse, Parasite of Mortrex. So that is the Parasite of Mortrex. I think it's a small model, but rules wise pretty strong, and it can really, you know, mess up your opponent's units. I think 80 points is about right for it too. With this full release of Tyranids though, I really do wish that they would have brought out more interesting units like this though. Hopefully in 10th edition we might get some new minis and a refresh, but we did just get a load of Eldar, so there is that. What do you guys think of the Parasite of Mortrex? Please do put your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. It'd be great to hear from you. Thank you ever so much for joining me today. Thank you for watching. For the Norn Queen.